Hey, welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. Okay, so we've got Tick Tick. Yep. And another one of these to-do apps. And it's like, before you groan and, delete this podcast, it is an interesting journey. I've used Todoist for a long time. I used it for a good few years, and there was nothing wrong with it, and there's still nothing wrong with it. The point of Todoist for me was to have like reminders. Although, let's face it, do you really work when those reminders go off? But at least it sort of gives you a nudge. I think it really needs to just give you an electric shock, actually, to get you to do something. But anyway, that's just my dystopian version of a to-do app. But anyway, the idea is that was great. And I did sort of temporarily switch to Microsoft To Do. And before you roll your eyes, it's actually not bad. It integrates with all the Office stuff if that's where you live, which in my day-to-day work that wasn't indeed the truth. But it's not too bad, but it sort of stops short of what it probably could be. And I think it's Superlist or something that did create the original whatever it was called that To Do. Anyway, Microsoft bought them, incorporated some into Microsoft To Do, but didn't really go that far. But I think Superlist, I think it's called, is the same people who originally created that, and they've gone and created another To Do. And there's loads of these, and you think how many? And the problem is as well, it's to-do fatigue, and I don't mean just actually the amount of to-dos. It's having to switch to another, yet another environment and set it all up and all that type of stuff. So I do get, that is a thing. And when I looked at Tick Tick, I kept seeing it pop up in some of the integration things. I thought I'll have a look, because I can't help myself. I don't know what it is. And this is the point, isn't it? Just do something. Stop preparing, stop planning. Just get it done. But there we go. We're all fickle, really. But anyway, I looked at it and I started to see some interesting features. I mean, it's got all the things that you'd expect. A bit like Todoist, it's got really nice ways of working with your to-do lists. You can create multiple layers. You can, categorize them how you want and all this type of thing. You can make them as Kanban boards, which I quite like. I think it's just the visuals that a Kanban board gives me. And there's lots of other things. The other good thing, it's really, really cross-platform. So on all of the major devices, browser, it's got a Windows app, it's got a Mac app, it's got Android and iOS, of course. I think Linux as well, but don't quote me. But also, and again, love it or hate it, those interesting Echo devices that I do use. They are a bit of like, well, the dumb as rocks sometimes, but I use them for controlling the lights and all that type of stuff. But interestingly, for better or worse, all the rest of it, I know there's a load of pros and many cons of those things. But anyway, look, it works for me. I don't really have a lot stuff on there, but what I did notice, it's got Tick Tick integration, and funny enough, I think Todoist used to have, and then Amazon in their infinite wisdom probably got a bit greedy and changed the way that was working, or the API was working anyway. But either way, they must have obviously still allowed third-party apps to integrate, of course, because Tick Tick have. But I did find that quite interesting, because I'm also very sad the fact that I've got one of those Echo Autos in my car. Look, to be honest, mainly because I can do things like read an Audible book while I'm driving. Sure, all these infotainment systems have that built in as well. But anyway, it's all linked up. So if I then am at home, it knows where I was in that Audible point, and I can carry on when I'm, sat down or whatever it might be, I can get access to that. And that goes for TickTick as well, is, again, better or worse, all that type stuff. I can talk to TickTick and, review some items or get reminders that way, but also add them, of course, or add and change them. And sometimes, when I'm thinking of things, I don't necessarily have my phone right next to me or the computer in front of me. And because I've got maybe far too many of these little devices around the house, but anyway, they're all the older generation, I might add. It's not as if I'm a millionaire. But anyway, the idea is I can pretty much from anywhere just say add to TickTick, blah, 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 set a reminder if I want, or you can have rules that basically put it into certain lists and all that sort of stuff. So it's got and I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. I'm just saying it's a really difficult one because of that fatigue of importing stuff. Now, there's the interesting thing. I was able to very easily import from Todoist or Microsoft To Do, and I'm sure there's others that you can import into. So it wasn't too big a deal. The apps have a built-in Pomodoro timer. If you're not sure of the Pomodoro technique, it's the work for, say, 25-minute intervals to stay focused and all that sort of stuff. Again, it's all discipline, isn't it? Self-discipline and habits. And I can't hold my hand up and say I've cracked that, because I really haven't. But we endeavour to, don't we? What keeps driving us forward, I guess. But the other thing, it's got really good calendar integration with Google Calendar, Microsoft Outlook, lots of others. So it's, like I said, it's got the Kanban, which I quite personally like to see those things. It's got a timeline, so you can see the tasks. If you've put due dates, you can see them all as a, dare I say, when I first looked at this bit, it looked like Microsoft Project back in the day. But that's quite a good thing, because you can sort of see where you've overloaded yourself, with too much going on. What else was I going to say to finish? The Eisenhower matrix, that was it. Which is quite interesting. I hadn't come across this until I've seen TickTick, where you've got like a quadrant of urgent and important, not urgent and important, urgent and unimportant, not urgent and unimportant, which all sound very similar, but they've got the subtle changes. But it's quite an interesting thing. I only really started to use this bit because I've been using TickTick for a good 6 to 8 months now, and like I say, I get reminders on my phones, I get pop-ups on my desktop if I really want to get annoying. But, it's got this Eisenhower matrix, so you can at least sort of see a different view of what really is urgent that you need to work on, what you need to sort of look at some point. But anyway, there's all these weird and wonderful things that obviously everything's trying to just give you just that extra little bit, isn't it, of info in such busy lives that we have. I store far too many to-do things, but ultimately it's more than a to-do list. It's got, articles that I can look at some point. So I have that in a separate list. So it isn't classed as you have to do this. It's just sat there waiting for me, but at least I can come back to it. But you can also set these things to expire as well, which is quite funny. So if you if you don't look at it, say, in 3 months, it's probably, let's face it, in tech world anyway, if that's what you're collecting, that it's going to be out of date. So there's a lot of interesting things anyway. All the synchronization across all the platforms. So yeah, it's an interesting one. There is a free version, by the way. The premium one is pretty reasonable. I think it's about $30-ish a year, which is, I don't know, it's about what, $2 a month type of, I don't know what that is, but it isn't a huge amount. So anyway, but that's what I've got this time around. It may be one of the most boring episodes, It's certainly not an affiliate thing or me trying to push it. It's just, you know, the never-ending endeavour to find the perfect to-do app, I suppose. So there we go. I'm going to leave it with you. So have a good day, have a good week, and I will catch you on the next one.